News 5 begins now with breaking news.
A historic moment in our country's history. President Joe Biden announcing he is withdrawing from the 2024 presidential race. It comes after weeks of mounting pressure from within his own party and just over 100 days until the November election. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tracy Carlos. Scripps News correspondent Maya Rodriguez is in Delaware, where the president has been recovering from COVID. She has the very latest.
President Biden gave in to relentless pressure to step aside amid concerns about his age and his ability to defeat for a second time former President Donald Trump. A stunning decision coming from President Biden announcing he is ending his presidential campaign. Shortly after, the president calling Vice President Kamala Harris, quote, an extraordinary partner and endorsing her candidacy. The decision following weeks of intensifying pressure from within the Democratic Party for the president to step aside after last month's debate with former President Trump. President Biden resisting the calls to step aside and postponing campaign appearances as he recovered from COVID. Finally, this statement saying it was the greatest honor of his life to serve as president. Going on to say, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus entirely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. DNC Chairman Jamie Harrison reacting to the announcement.
I am emotional about the president's decision because this president, Joe Biden, has been a transformational president. He's been a great leader.
Questions surround what happens next after the unprecedented announcement as Democrats prepare to formally nominate their candidate next month. Scripps News White House correspondent Haley Bull asking President Biden about the process earlier this month.
Your convention is coming up where your delegates are pledged to make you the official nominee. If they have second thoughts, are they free to vote their conscience?
If all of a sudden I show up at the convention, everybody says we want somebody else, that's the democratic process.
That process about to be put to the test. Maya Rodriguez, Scripps News, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
Ohio Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown releasing a statement thanking President Biden for his years of committed service as senator, vice president, and as president. On Friday, Brown was the fourth Senate Democrat to publicly urge the president to end his campaign for re-election. In that statement, he said in part, quote, I agree with the many Ohioans who have reached out to me. At this critical time, our full attention must return to these important issues. I think the president should end his campaign, end quote. Ohio Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno released a statement of his own, saying in part, the Democrats will scramble to change faces, but the American people know all too well the results of their policies. That's why we will defeat Sherrod Brown and Kamala Harris in November. And Ohio Governor Mike DeWine also reacting to this historic news, saying, I have known President Biden since 1995 when I entered the U.S. Senate and served with him on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Fran and I wish President Biden and the First Lady all the best as he serves out the remainder of his term and in the years ahead. We went out to speak with some Ohio voters to hear their thoughts. Many voters we spoke with saw this as a positive thing for our country moving forward.
I kind of think it's a good deal. He's kind of old and he should just enjoy what he has right now, you know, so he's did enough for the country.
It should be for somebody that's younger, like Vice President. You know, he's made it, he did what he needed to do, now it's still to go to somebody else.
And that job takes a lot out of you, but I think for Joe Biden to admit that it was time to make a change for the good of the country, that's the best thing that could possibly have ever happened.
So the question now is, what happens to the Democratic Party? The Democratic National Convention is less than a month away in Chicago. Scripps News political correspondent Joe St. George has more on what comes next.
With a little more than 100 days to go until Election Day here in 2024, the Democratic Party's nominee for president will not be President Joe Biden. The president stepping aside in a historic announcement Sunday afternoon. Now the question is, what happens next before the Democrats gather in Chicago for their convention in a little less than a month? President Biden is stepping aside, a historic announcement Sunday. Posting on social media, my fellow Democrats, I have decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president, and it's been the best decision I've made. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. But President Biden's endorsement is not a guarantee that Harris will be the nominee if others challenge the vice president for the nomination. The Democratic National Convention doesn't begin until August 19th in Chicago. Under current DNC rules, it's possible that the new nominee will be picked prior to the convention. Of course, with the historic nature of this announcement, it also remains possible that a nominee is not decided until the convention. President Biden is not expected to address the country until later this week, with much of the Democratic Party's future now being discussed among its top leaders. Top governors like Gavin Newsom of California, Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Andy Beshear of Kentucky, and Jared Polis of Colorado. They will now work to see how the Democratic Party moves forward with a little more than 100 days until Election Day. President Biden, now the first Democratic incumbent president to say they are not seeking re-election since Lyndon Johnson in 1968. Former President Donald Trump and his campaign already out with a statement late Sunday attacking Vice President Kamala Harris, saying that she would be worse for the country than President Joe Biden. Of course, this is just the latest development in what has been an uncharted 2024 election, with Americans paying attention minute by minute to every development. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
And we are now hearing from Vice President Kamala Harris, who President Biden has already endorsed to be the nominee. In a statement, she thanked President Biden for his years of service, going on to say, quote, "I will do everything in my power to unite the Democratic Party and unite our nation to defeat Donald Trump in his Extreme Project 2025 agenda. We have 107 days until Election Day. Together we will fight, and together we will win," end quote. And Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump taking to his social media account to comment on this news. The former president said in part, quote, "We will suffer greatly because of his presidency, but we will remedy the damage he has done very quickly. Make America great again," end quote. Former President Trump, along with Ohio Senator and Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance, were on the campaign trail together for the first time in Grand Rapids, Michigan yesterday. During the rally, the former president asked the crowd who they would like to see run against him.
So who would you like to most run against if you're us, if we want to win? Ready? Kamala Harris. Crooked Joe Biden.
Meantime, Senator Vance took to social media shortly after President Biden made his announcement. Vance said in part, quote, "Joe Biden has been the worst president in my lifetime, and Kamala Harris has been right there with him every step of the way," end quote. He added, quote, "President Trump and I are ready to save America. Whoever's at the top of the Democratic ticket, bring it on," end quote. Vance is returning home less than a week after being tapped to join the former president on the Republican ticket this November. Vance is holding a hometown rally in Middletown tomorrow. The rally is scheduled to begin at the high school at 1:30, but doors will open as early as 10 o'clock Monday morning. The event does not list the former president as an attendee. Of course, you can